Ian Bremmer, against the motion. 2 minutes, yours.
Well, first of all, I also want to join in thanking our opponents. We respect each other a lot, and we've just given as good as we could over the course of the last hour and a half, something you do in democracies. Look, it wasn't me that initially talked about the fact that democracy is not a great system of government, just better than the other ones, right? No one said that, but someone has to paraphrase Churchill here. It's the quote we all know. There was a question that asked about, well, what are you comparing it to, right? I mean, if there was an anarcho-syndicalist, semi-autonomous collective out there, like in Monty Python, Life of Brian. I think, no, Holy Grail, excuse me, Holy Grail, I'm mixing them up. I could support that. There isn't. What did we hear? Benign dictatorship. How comfortable are we with that? I mean, it can work the first time, right? You can get lucky, maybe even the second time. What happens when it doesn't work? What happens when that leader appoints the other leader? We know what happens with private corporations when that happens. The first generation does a great job. The second generation sort of keeps it running. And the third generation, it falls apart. Every VC, venture capitalist in the world talks about that. You can do that with a company. It's just money. When you do that with actual people, then it starts to hurt, right? So I don't accept benign dictatorship as a model that's actually better over the long run for human beings than democracy. I get you, it's an ideal. It's still one that I'm not prepared to accept. When I talk about dictators today, look, the world is moving in our direction. And it's moving in our direction, yes, because of cell phones. It's really hard to maintain legitimacy when you have a galleon and a private zoo, right? People find out when the Chinese leaders have billions of dollars. They find out, they get angry, and the Chinese government does its damnedest to keep it quiet and to imprison journalists and to keep the Western journalists out and to censor, but it's harder to, right? In America, we're finding out the NSA is difficult. The future of intelligence organizations is going to be very different than it used to be. But the future of authoritarian states is going to be very different than it used to be. Their days are numbered. Final point, which is that everyone said this is really not about democracy versus authoritarianism. It's democracy versus hasn't China done a great job. You know what? China has done a great 35 years. I'm very respectful. They've grown a hell of a lot. But after 35 years of doing a really great job, if you're worth over $1 million in China today, where do you put your money? Not in China. Why not? You know it, because you got a good shot, but you're worried. And that's why you bring it to the States and London and all the rest, because the stability is actually there. That's why democracy matters.